another three. One off the back iron, and off Horford into Victor. He's ahead of the pack. He just puts it over Derek White's head, and he throws it down.
Victor Wembenyama. What are we going to do with you? Victor Wembanyama, or as I might refer to him in this video, Wemby, came into the league in the 2023-24 season from his former team in France, Metropolitans 92, which after Wemby left, looks like it might be shutting down. He was drafted first overall by the San Antonio Spurs, and since the Spurs are one of the most well-organized NBA teams, and him being under one of the greatest coaches ever in Greg Popovich, Wemby had some hype that he had to live up to, and I can tell you, he has everything the NBA has ever dreamed of, and more. Before we get into this rising star's early career, make sure to like and subscribe, and enjoy the video. From the first time Wemby appeared in Summer League, we knew he was going to be special. In his first Summer League game, fans were expecting him to show out, since he was playing against a bunch of G Leaguers. He didn't though. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. What he did show was his defensive potential. He had 5 blocks in his first Summer League game. In his second game, though, is where he really saw what he was going to be able to do. He had 27 points and 9 boards, only 3 blocks though, which is still more than good. People still did have their doubts after his Summer League performance, but after he disappeared from the media for the next 4 months, he would prove them wrong when it really counted in the regular season. Wemby came out of the gate swinging in his first game, with 3 threes out of 5 attempts, showing how someone who is 7'4" can make threes with such consistency. He did only play 23 minutes in this game, which was a big theme for his season. He averaged 29 minutes per game that year, when your typical superstar would average between 36 to 38 minutes. Even with his minute restrictions, it only took him 5 games to show how dominant he would be. He exploded for 38 against the Phoenix Suns, and with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Devin Vassell on the floor, Wemby was the best player out there. Right before this as well, Shaq compared Wemby to Bol, a player who is nearly out of the league. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I do agree with Shaq here. Wemby is just more consistent. Another big story from last season was how Wemby's teammates just could not seem to get Wemby the ball, even though the alien is 7'4" and can block a three-pointer while standing in the paint. That did happen, by the way. Greg Popovich put Jeremy Sohan, a player who had an eye for passing, similar to a Draymond Green at point guard. Jeremy Sohan was a great passer and also a weird-looking free throw shooter, but he was never the leader of an offense. So some plays, Wemby was wide open, but never got the ball and the Spurs would get a bad shot. But after Sohan went back to small forward, the position he did play, Trey Jones went to point guard, a player who had played point guard before, and Wemby went to center, which is something he had never wanted to do because it's something that had happened back in France. The event that I'm talking about is in their first game of Metropolitan 92 season. Wemby's coach put him at center, and Wemby knew the game wasn't going to go well, and it didn't. But after Wemby moved to center in the NBA, he flourished. Wemby started having insane stat lines. He had a 5x5 game, which is a game where a player has at least 5 points, at least 5 rebounds, at least 5 assists, at least 5 blocks, and at least 5 steals. Wemby had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. 2 games later, he almost had another, only needing 1 more assist. Now, only 24 of these games have happened in NBA history, and Wemby is only one of 4 players to have multiple of them. Last season, Wemby averaged 3.6 blocks per game, and even though that is 39th all-time, he is the only player other than Serge Ibaka to be in the top 50 in the new three-point NBA era that has come recently. That is the reason that I believe Wemby will never lose a Defensive Player of the Year award for the next 10 seasons. Now, I know this big claim, but if he gets injured, I think it will happen. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year, but he got robbed by Rudy Gobert, who won his 4th. Another big storyline from last season was the Rookie of the Year voting. Wemby was projected to win at the start of the season, but he had his opponent, Chet Holmgren, the number 2 pick of the previous draft, who, since he was injured and he got barreled over by LeBron, was still eligible to win the award. Wemby did play really well at the start, but so did Chet. And Chet was also on the best team in the West, and Wemby was on the worst. So Chet was making buckets on prime time and looking really good, and he did overpass Wemby at some point. But after they played each other towards the end of the season and Wemby dominated Chet, the Rookie of the Year voting was over. It was pretty obvious that Wemby was going to win at that point, and he did win the award in the end. One more thing I want to mention before getting into the 24-25 season, the current season, is about Wemby's mentality. Every NBA player that is interviewed says he wants to win. He wants to be out there. He wants to be the best version of himself. And that's another reason why he's going to be so good. A mentality like that is what separates a Ben Simmons from a LeBron. LeBron wants to dominate on every single play. Ben Simmons, he's just a bag chaser, and he wants his money. After he got that $40 million contract, he was terrible. Wemby is a LeBron. He wants to win. He wants to be there. He wants to be the best player ever. And that is why he will be the best player ever. In my opinion, at least. On to this most current NBA season. Wemby has been off to a slow start, and he has been a little bit inconsistent. He has had 2 great games out of 5, though. He had a 29-point game against the Houston Rockets, and another 5x5 game with 25 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. In his game in OKC, though, he was shut down against by Chet Holmgren, and people will hold that against him. He did get shut down, but that is due to his consistency. Once Wemby is consistent, he will take over. Another thing we'll have to see is how Chris Paul can do. At the moment, he is looking pretty bad, but I do think that Chris Paul could make Wemby look like an MVP candidate, but we'll have to give it some more time. Remember, Wemby is still 20 years old, and it did take him some time to get hot last season. Along with Wemby, Jeremy Sohan, and Devin Vassell becoming potential stars, the Spurs will look scary in the future. I do expect them to make the play-in, but with the West being so elite, we'll have to see. It could be that they won't make it. Overall, if a player was the second tallest player in the league, Wemby being the second tallest, only behind a rookie, could shoot the ball from 3 at around 35%, which isn't elite, but still very good for a player of his height. He could handle the ball and pass like a point guard, and defend like Dikembe Mutombo, widely regarded as the best defender ever. We would say that this player here will be the best player in NBA history. So why don't we hear everyone saying it? I think we should. And I think this is why the NBA is a Victor Wembanyama problem. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. And remember, a 2 is good, but the 3 ball is better. Have a nice day.